Okay, so welcome for the first time, or welcome back if you've seen this before. This does take normally longer than we did at the APCUG. Well, when was it? It feels like it was a long time ago now, less than 2 months ago.
August
So
15.
there you go. It wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it. So what we're going to do today is slow down the pace a bit. We will have more time for questions, and hopefully I'll have more, well, I have more time to demo. I really want to allow the last half an hour to just chat and see what questions you have. I know some of you are coming from another password manager, and your question may be, why change? Maybe the answer is you don't change. But today we're talking about a specific one. We're talking about Bitwarden. And this is also some of the things we're going to do for today's agenda. We're going to talk about why passwords are a problem, common password mistakes, the worst passwords of 2019. Hopefully you don't see one you recognize. We'll talk about guessability. What is entropy? We're going to talk about big targets, places that you definitely don't want to use a weak password on. We'll talk about reusing passwords, security versus convenience, and which one do you have to choose? And then, of course, we're going to demo. I also have some resources for you. They are links to various articles that I found helpful, things like importing passwords from an existing password manager and just general help. So we will somehow get those to you. This is actually on APCUG's website, so you can get it from there right now. But this presentation is pretty much the same, so either one should be fine. So the password problem. I don't know about you. I am tired of remembering passwords. Give me a password. Why? Just let me click a button. Just let me do what I need to do. Stop asking me so many questions. Leave me alone. But they're necessary. It's what keeps the bad guys out. So without a password, I could just walk into your Amazon account or Facebook or whatever. So we have to have them. So the temptation is, and my slides are blocked, so let me move some stuff around. The temptation is to take the easy way out. And what does that mean? Well, monkey123 is my password on Amazon, so it's good enough for Amazon, it's good enough for Apple, good enough for Google. So we'll just reuse that password. That is convenient for sure, but not very secure. If you use the same password over and over again from multiple websites, you're basically giving them access to multiple accounts. So avoid the easy way out. There is another easy way, but it's not quite what you think. When you hear what we do today, it's a bit overwhelming. The first time I heard about a password manager, I was excited, but there was a learning curve, and I've been using a password manager for years. So I'll click, 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 and everything will look super easy. It's not that easy in the beginning, but it's not difficult. My father has been using a password manager for a year now, and he's doing just fine. And let me tell you, if he can learn it, you can learn it. My mother, same boat. Anybody can do it. It's just a matter of rethinking how you enter passwords. So, big password mistakes. These are the top three. Choosing a guessable password, reusing passwords, and making the assumption that security is inconvenient. That's just not true. We're going to talk about why. So these are the worst passwords of 2019. Do you see anything on there you recognize? You might. I mean, they are the top passwords of 2019. So I'm sure some of you have used it. If you see your password on here, it's probably a good idea to go out and change it. Maybe wait until the end of this presentation because it's been that way for a while, but you definitely don't want to use these. These are the first passwords a hacker will use to get into your account. So if you see them, stop using them. Guessability. What exactly do we mean about guessability? Sometimes, because we see patterns as humans, we will take words and common words. Like maybe you like the word sunshine. That was actually one of the bad passwords to use. So by all means, don't use that. So let's say we take sunshine and we say, oh, I'm going to make it more secure. I'm going to add a number to it. So if I do sunshine 1, no one will ever figure that out. Wrong. Numbers are very common. You add numbers to all sorts of things to make it slightly different. I remember working in a place where people would get frustrated because we made them change their passwords. We thought, oh, that's the secure thing to do. So what they would do is use their old password and just add a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And then once they ran out of that 5 or 6 where they could go back to an old one, it went back to sunshine 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So adding numbers doesn't do anything. Changing characters, you think it's slick. I mean, you know, using a $ instead of an S, yeah, that's looks like a good idea to me. I think it's pretty creative to use parentheses. I mean, this third password here looks pretty secure to me, but if you look at it, you can still see sunshine 1, S-U-N-S-H. The I was changed to a 1, and the E was changed to a 3. Very clever, but not clever enough. Remember, these hackers know these tricks, so they're going to use it. The other thing that used to be really common, and I remember seeing this for the first time, I was in a Best Buy, and one of the associates came over and logged in, and all I did was swiped across the keyboard. You recognize that? You recognize this? That's the top row of your keyboard. So whoop, from Q to P. Not a good password. Not a good password at all. Numbers, definitely not. Here's another thing people do. I know this quote. I know this obscure quote. It's now, this is not obscure because it's from Shakespeare, but they might use something they know, something that they think, oh, no one will think of that. Nobody's read this book. Well, wrong. Dictionary lookups. These things are all in their arsenal to automatically add them on. You might even say, oh, well, fine. They know it. I'm going to go ahead and change some of these characters. So maybe that U, I make parentheses. There's an S again. I'll do a $. A 1. Nope. Same thing. Substitute characters. 4 letters. The hackers know it. Then the last thing that I've seen is using names. And everyone knows who Bill Gates is, at least on this call. But did you know that his birth name was William Henry Gates III? So maybe you think you're slick and you'll say, oh, I'll just use his real name. That is something that can be looked up. It's not a good idea. This is all stuff that can be easily added to the password field if somebody wants to get in. So don't do any of this stuff. It looks like it makes it easy. It does. It makes it easy for you, but it also makes it easy for a hacker. So avoid it. So guessability is a problem because you're not fighting people. You're actually fighting machines. A machine can do many, many things faster than us. It can calculate all sorts of things before we've even taken our next breath or whatever. A machine is super, super fast, and they're getting faster every single day. So what happens is these hackers will use machines to do something called a brute force attack. And these attacks are getting better because the machines are getting better. And essentially, they don't go to a login screen like gmail.com and the computer doesn't type in your email address and then type in your password on that, what's called a landing page. That's not what happens. They've gained access to the back end of those servers. And because of that, they basically can attack multiple passwords simultaneously without coming up to that artificial limit. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. I hope not. But on Apple devices, very common. There's a setting. If you guess the password once wrong, it'll let you try a couple more times and eventually says, hey, you need a timeout. I'm going to give you a minute. You clearly don't know this password, so take a second, look it up. Then the next time it'll say 5, then maybe 10, then an hour, a day, a week. Eventually, you might get locked out of it. That's not what these hackers are doing. They're doing it on the back end. They won't get locked out. They interject all these passwords quick until they find the one that works. So guessability is just not, it's just not working. Here is a great website that I discovered a couple months ago. It estimates, you input a password and it will estimate how long it takes to crack it. Now you'll notice in the example here, they're using A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7 characters. A 7-character password that is not randomly generated, something that we think of, typically can be cracked in less than a second. Less than a second. 7 characters. I've seen passwords much shorter than that. Okay, so we'll add another character, right? Well, good news is it goes up to 5 hours, but that's still pretty short. So then you keep going through the list, you add another character, and you get all the way up to 12 characters is 2 centuries. Well, that seems good enough for me. Here's my rule of thumb. If I need to create a randomly generated password, and it's something that I may type in, for example, if you're in the Apple Store and Best Buy and you need to upgrade your phone and Google says, type in your password to your Gmail account. When you do that, you need to manually enter it because you've signed out of the old phone. That's fine. You use a password manager. It interjects this password for you. All is fine. Then you get your new phone and the phone says, please enter your password. Well, I don't know it. It's in the password manager. So for passwords like that, where you may need to type it out, like your Wi-Fi password or those logins, a Chromebook that you buy, think of how you log into that, a Windows computer, your Hotmail or Outlook account. Maybe those are the accounts that you make only 12 characters, but at least make them 12 characters because it'll take them 200 years as of today to crack that password. Now this website, when you go there, if you just put in 12 characters, it's going to assume that it's a secure password. So don't think that monkey 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you're covered. No, that's not going to work. It's a dictionary crackable, a dictionary searchable password. So this is implying that you're creating a password that's randomly generated. 12 characters randomly generated. We generate these passwords through our password manager. So entropy. This is, the definition is a lack of order or predictability. Look at the picture on the right. If I had to find a book in this bookstore, I'd probably collapse crying trying to find the book. I have no idea what's going on here. There's books in front of books in front of books stacked on top. What if I need the one behind those stacks? I mean, yeah, good luck there. So entropy adds a bit of complication to your password because it doesn't have any sort of predictability. Predictability, like when we look in the clouds and we see objects, that's because we're human. We see all these sorts of similarities. The next part is character set. So using a variety of characters, a capital letter, a lowercase letter, those are 2 different things. A numerical, a number rather, a symbol, all those things are character sets and you want to use as many as possible. So let your password manager create character sets based on all of it. You should be good to go. Length is also important. As we already said, 12 characters is probably the minimum we should use, but length in things like security questions. When I go sign up for a new account, I just did this like 3 weeks ago, had to sign up for a new work account. And it asked me, what's your mother's maiden name? Well, anybody that's halfway decent searching on the web could discover my mother's maiden name. Therefore, it's not a very good thing to put as an answer because if you forget your password and a hacker goes in and says, well, I'm just going to try your mother's maiden name and they get in, well, you know, they're in. So what I do is I let my password manager generate random words. In this case, this is actually from Bitwarden. I said, give me 4 random words and output it to the screen. So it did studio, wanted, catalog, unshaved. So I would copy that and paste that in as my answer. What city were you born? Studio, wanted, catalog, unshaved. That's going to be really hard to guess. So that's a second layer. Those security questions are a really good way to get into your account. So you want to make sure you don't give them the right answers. Lie. It's okay to lie. Can you believe I'm saying that? It's okay to lie about this. That's because there's no reason they need to know the truth. They're only asking this so you can reset your password if you forget. So all this put together with the addition of randomness, which the only way we can get randomness right now is to have a computer do it through a password manager, which I'll actually show you a web-based one here when we do a demo. adding in all these different sets. That's how we get a nice secure password. The reality here is you're probably looking at this password and saying, I don't think so. I can't remember that. Or some of you are writing it down on a Post-it note or writing in a Word document or Excel or somewhere on your computer where it's accessible. That's not a good idea. You need to have it in a secure vault somewhere. So I guess if you wrote it down and you drove it across town to a bank and you locked it away, yeah, it'd be secure. But that means every time you need it, you've got to drive across town. Well, the bank's got to be open, right? That's just not going to work. So we use our password manager as our vault. We let it generate this random password right here and then save it for us. We don't think about anything. So here are some big targets. You probably recognize a few of them. These are the sites that are probably constantly under attack. I can't tell you how many notices I get. Oh, my Facebook was hacked. Oh, my, eBay was hacked. Right. That's because those are the big targets. So you absolutely do not want to use a password that you've thought of, and you absolutely don't want to use the same password across these, well, very popular websites. So reusing passwords, if it gets stolen from Marriott, which happened, if it gets stolen from Target, if it gets stolen from Microsoft, and you've reused it, guess what? They now have access to your Gmail account, your Target account. They could start going shopping. Facebook, maybe your bank accounts. And it's kind of scary, isn't it? So a lot of times people have one account that's compromised, and because they've used that same password, it's no longer one account, it's multiple accounts. You may even use the same username, maybe your first initial and your last name, or most likely you use an email address. There's actually ways to get around that too. I actually use a different email for every single thing I sign up for, if it lets me. So don't use the same credentials on these websites. It's a bad idea. The moral of this story, it's real simple. Don't make it hard on yourself. Don't generate a random password and then try to memorize it. I currently have hundreds, multi-hundreds. I don't think I have quite 1,000 yet. I have hundreds of logins in my password manager. Over the years, I keep generating new ones, new logins. There's new services that come online. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, I had to do something for work. I couldn't possibly remember maybe even a half dozen of these random passwords, let alone hundreds. So we got to let the technology do the work for us. That's the password manager. Let it do the heavy lifting. Don't remember this stuff. You don't need to. You might be thinking, well, if I let the password manager do everything, that's sacrificing, I'm obviously doing well security-wise, but I'm sacrificing convenience. And to be honest, when you first start using a password manager, it might be a little jarring. We're creatures of habit. We've done things the way we do it. And if you have to change, it's sometimes not fun. You will get used to using a password and it will become more convenient. It'll be the most secure and it will become more convenient than what you're doing today. I promise. I don't think about passwords except when I'm creating it, and then my password manager does the work. So we're going to talk about Bitwarden specifically today, but the reality is there's a lot of password managers out there, and I don't want to ignore that. Here are the password managers ranked by Consumer Reports, recently ranked by Consumer Reports. Number one is not Bitwarden, the one we're going to talk about, the one that I use. It's an app called 1Password, and I actually used this password manager for years. I only moved away from it because they kept asking for more money. I gave them hundreds of dollars, and then they moved to a subscription-based model, and I said, I'm done. I'm tired of, I've already given you hundreds of dollars. I don't think I owe you any more. You should have grandfathered me in. They didn't do any of that, so I abandoned it. And there are things I miss about it. Honestly, it is out of the, I'd probably say I've tried a half dozen password managers, everything on this list for sure. Although to be fair, Bitwarden is actually on there twice because there's 2 versions, but I've tried a half a dozen password managers. 1Password is still my favorite. Maybe one day I'll go back to it. Probably won't, but maybe I will. So number 2 is also not Bitwarden. It's Keeper Password Manager, $60 a year. Bitwarden comes in at the number 3 and number 4 spot because there's a free version and there's a paid version. Now that family version is not the paid version that I use. I actually pay $10 a year, less than $1 a month for my password manager. I didn't have to. I could have stayed on the free version, but there were certain features that I wanted that I was missing from 1Password. So I handed over $10 and I'm happy I did. It's now more useful to me. LastPass Premium costs $36 a year. So it's right in the middle. LastPass used to be the #1 ranked password manager. I actually use it at work. I can't say it's my favorite. I think it's okay. I think it has features that are lacking. My point in showing you this is go to this report, read what Consumer Reports says about it, and decide what works for you. I've told people what I like, and they sometimes will pick something else. That's perfectly fine. So while we'll have some homework for you, I know you're probably cringing now. Homework? What? I didn't sign up for that. Yes, you'll have homework. It's easy homework, I promise. While you have homework, I want you to try Bitwarden first. So the homework will be specific to Bitwarden, but I don't want you to just go ahead and just jump in. Don't look, don't check the temperature of the water, just jump right in. Try them out. Judy uses LastPass. I used to use 1Password. John and I use Bitwarden. Everybody's different. Everybody has different needs, and they all meet our needs in different ways. So go try them out. This week, we're going to do Bitwarden, and then maybe next week you try something else. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to demo Bitwarden a little bit. So let's go to my desktop. Right here is where you want to start. Bitwarden.com. When you go to bitwarden.com, no thank you, I don't want that. When you go to bitwarden.com, you will see all sorts of stuff at the top. Really, this is what we're focusing on here. Download. This is one of your pieces of homework, and I'll have a list for you at the end, so you don't have to write this down right now. But you go to download, and then it's going to ask you, what would you like to download? So look at this screen for a moment. There's a lot to digest. It's telling me desktop. What does desktop mean? Well, that's your computer. If you're sitting on a computer today, this is the option you would pick. And it says Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Here is my primary reason for using Bitwarden. 1Password worked on Windows, 1Password worked on Mac OS. I use both. I don't use this very much, but I have to use it. And 1Password works on Linux. So I started using Linux more in the last couple of years. And while I have a preference, and we won't get into those flame wars here today, I have a preference. I use all 3 of these, and I need my password manager to work on all 3. So this is where you go. If you have something other than this, like Chrome OS, you're not out. You can still use Bitwarden. That's where we come to this portion, and actually technically here for some Chromebooks. So the web browser is another way to access your password manager with Bitwarden, another reason why I chose it. Let's say you're in a public library and you need to log into an account. So the first thing I would do is open up a private window. I'm using Microsoft Edge today. All web browsers, Firefox is actually my preferred web browser, but Chrome, Firefox, Opera, all of them, they have this private window. So if you're in a public place, open up a private window, go to bitwarden.com, or if you use LastPass, go to lastpass.com, and over here, you'll see a login. So right now, I'm not saving any cookies. It's not going to remember I went to Bitwarden because I am in a new private window. So you log in, you type in your email address. Oops, I kind of hit a bunch of keys there. Type in your master password, and then you uncheck remember me. It's probably important to do. It won't remember you anyway, but just to be safe, and then you log in. So I am now in my password vault. It's loading here in a second. And I'm on any computer in the world. And maybe I say, oh, I want to look up a Gmail account. So here's one for the Columbus Computer Society. And you know what? All I need to do is copy the password. So right there, copy password. So I'll go to gmail.com. Oops. Somebody is coming in and that button popped up in front of me. Sorry. I go to gmail.com. I type in my email address. Now I could have the password fill this in for me, but I'm just going to type it. Password managers typically block working in private windows for security reasons. I have that setting on, so I actually can't integrate it in right now. That's why I copied it. So to paste it, you need to learn a few keyboard shortcuts. So let's talk about that. If you're using a Windows computer, Control-C will copy. Control-C as in cat, or copy. So if you highlight something and if you hold down the Control key and press the C key and then release, you've now copied whatever you have selected into your clipboard. To paste it, you do Control-V. Now I'm on a Mac today. So if you have a Mac, they change the keys up a little bit. It's not Control, it's Command. So Command-C, Command-V, and then I click next. Now remember, I didn't type the password. I have no idea what this is, and that's actually pretty short. I may need to reevaluate that. With this account is shared with multiple people, so I can't just willy-nilly change it. Maybe that'll be fun. But right now, that's what it is. So I click next. Oh, didn't like that. Let's try it again. Well, that was the Zoom account. that would be why it didn't work. So let me do this. Let me type the full. So here we go. You got to pick the right account. So now we have the right password. Hopefully it's longer. Yeah, it's a lot longer. Okay, I like that. Next, and I'm logged in. I have no idea what that password is, folks. No idea. I couldn't even guess at what it is, but you can see I'm now logged in to an email account for the Columbus Computer Society. Pretty easy, right? And then when you're done, we log out. So sign out. Since I'm in a private window, I close it. Has no idea I was in Gmail. Here, I'm going to log out from Bitwarden. Log out. There's no history of what I did. Again, this is from a public computer in the library or wherever you are, open a private window. Now, I am at home. So the same process is true. I would just log in here, but that little tip is if you're not on your own trusted device, open it up in a private browser window. So this integration right here with the web browser is how you're going to install it if you have a Chromebook, or maybe you don't want to download an application. Maybe you can't download an application. Work computers are locked down. I can't just go in and install what I want. Well, that's okay. I can install an extension. Browser extensions are the norm. The reason why I use Firefox is there's this great extension that actually blocks cookies. So when I go to Facebook, Facebook doesn't know that I went to Target, and then Google doesn't know that I went to Facebook, so they can't link back to me. So extensions are beautiful. And every password manager I know that I've used, I can't say every password manager out there, but everyone I've used has a browser extension. So in this case, I'm using Edge. So I just click Edge. Now, I've already got it installed. So right here it says remove. I'm not going to do that. Normally it would say add or install or something like that. Every web browser is different. So what you're looking for is a button that allows you to add it to your web browser. And that's it. And then it shows up, and this is what it looks like in Microsoft Edge, which is probably what most of you are using. It's this shield. It'll change colors here in a second. I haven't logged in, but it's normally blue around the edges, and then that's a white shield with, again, blue. So when I log in, you'll see it. So web browsers, if you're using a Chromebook, this might be the only way you can do it. Here's another option, though. Some Chromebooks allow you to install apps through the Google Play Store. Google Play is just Android apps. So if you have a Samsung phone or an LG phone or some of the newer Chromebooks, some that can handle it, this could be an option. And it is a separate app that you can use. If you have an iPhone or an iPad or anything made by Apple, you have the same option. It's an app that you can download. And if you are really crazy and you like hard, which, you know, sometimes hard can be fun, you can install it from the command line. So we've got somebody in our group who does this for everything. I'll watch him do things and I'm like, wow, I could have just clicked something and been done. But you know what? To each their own. You want to do it in the command line? No problem. I've got Windows, Mac, Linux. Here's RP. I think that says RPM. Actually can't quite tell. RPM would be Linux too, but not sure what some of these other things are. That looks like Brew. Brew is an extension for Apple if you want to install Unix commands. So lots of options here. And then of course, you can go to the web browser. So here's your first homework assignment. And yes, you can write this down if you'd like. I want you to go to bitwarden.com/download, okay? bitwarden.com/download. We'll start making notes here, and I'm going to make it big. I don't know about you, but the older I get, the harder it is to see. So there's our first note, bitwarden.com download. Now, if you're on a iOS device, Apple, iPad, or you're on Android, you won't go to bitwarden.com download. I think you actually can, and it'll take you through the link, but you can actually go just directly to the store, the Play Store or the App Store, and download it from there. So that's homework assignment number 1. Homework, before I get to homework assignment 2, let's talk about pricing. This is 1Password. It's not expensive. This is actually business. So let's go to personal and family. $2.99 a month. Now, $2.99 is okay, but you know, I'm paying for Disney Plus, I'm paying for Hulu, I'm paying for Netflix, paying for all that stuff. So you have to decide if this is affordable. If you want it for the whole family, a family of 5 rather, maybe not your whole family, $4.99 a month. If you're in a business, here's your other options. $3.99, $7.99, and then you've got to call them. If you have to ask, you can't afford it, right? So this is probably really expensive. So that's pricing for 1Password, which again was my favorite. Haven't used it in a while, but Consumer Reports likes it. So LastPass is actually fairly affordable as well, $3 a month, and that's on lastpass.com. You also have a free account with LastPass. Now, I don't think they do a very good job with the application. I've tried it on Windows and a Mac. I get flustered, which is pretty hard for me to do actually. So I'm not sure why it's not user-friendly, but again, you might want to try it. Judy loves it. She's been using it for years. So try it, see what you like. And then, well, I guess I didn't have pricing for Bitwarden. So Bitwarden pricing, it varies, but in general, free or $10 a year. So less than $10 a month. If you have a business or a family, yes, it can be more, $40 a year. Or for a business, you can spend $5. That's really cheap, $5 a month. I got to look into that. So very, very affordable. Your next homework assignment, if you choose to do it, that's totally up to you. I can't make you do it. There's no grade for this, is to come up with one and only one password right now. And you're probably asking, okay, for what? Well, there is one password you have to remember, and that is the password to your password manager. It needs to be a secure password. It needs to have entropy. It needs to have random character sets, and it really needs to be generated by something other than you, a computer. So if we go to lastpass.com/password-generator, you will get a free password generator. Ooh, that did not make it big, did it? This is a free password generator. It works great. Go here, pick how many characters you want. So in this case, it says 12. Remember, you have to remember this one. So unless you're crazy and you really want to do it, you could do 64. Oh, it only let me do 50. But that's what you got to type in every time, right? So here's the randomly generated. No, I don't think so. So we're going to go back to 12, and we're going to let it generate something for us. Look at the first one it gives you. Maybe it looks like something you can memorize or at least write down temporarily. Right here is the copy button. So I'm going to copy this. Now, I'm not necessarily 100% satisfied with it. My point in copying is I'm going to make a list of passwords. So there's my first one. Let me make this note a little bit bigger. There's my first password. Let's go generate another one. So this button right here is the generate button. I click it, new password. I don't like that one so much. This is kind of weird with no, I can't remember. There's no way. Nope, not going to happen. I'm going to regenerate another password. Okay, this looks more manageable, so maybe I copy this one. And then I go back to my notes and I paste. So come in here, spend some time, generate a bunch of passwords. When you find one you like, copy and paste it into a Word document, any text document at all. This is temporary, right? Just keep going back and forth and generating, finding stuff you like. Then once that's done, take a look at the whole list and see if it's actually something you can remember. Now, I'm not telling you this is a great idea, but this kind of looks like a word to me. I do see a little bit of a pattern in here, but maybe I won't remember. Remember I said I don't like the character? You can go in and edit. I'm not telling you that you should do this, but you can go in here and edit this. Now that says bio, so that's an abbreviation. That's not good. So let's add another character. Maybe I'll do a hyphen. I can remember BI-O, or maybe I'll do an underscore something. So don't just delete it and move on. At least substitute it for what you've deleted. And in this case, I'm deleting a character, so I'm going to substitute it for another character. So this looks okay. I'm going to leave the rest of it alone. Remember, the whole point in this exercise is I have to remember it. And if I don't think I can remember 12, I don't recommend going shorter than 12. But if you can't recommend 12, take it down to 10 if you have to. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying you've got to do what works for you. This is the one thing you have to remember. Here's something you could do. If you find a master password that you like and you think you can remember it, but you want to be safe, maybe have a family member hold on to it in their password manager. So my father, I generated a random password for him. He actually likes it. He can remember it just fine. But what I've done is I've saved it for him. So one time it happened. I don't remember my password. I can't get into my Chase accounts. No problem. It's I'll email it to. I didn't email it to him. That's not secure. I sent it to him somehow. I might have just read it to him because I don't think he doesn't do texting. I don't know how I got it to him. But don't email it because that's a bad idea. Email just goes through the web and you can see everything you do. So maybe have a family member, someone else with a different password manager, save it for you. So that's homework assignment number 2. Go find a good password. You have to decide if you want it to be 12. I would recommend at least 12, but lastpass.com/password generator is where you want to go. I have no idea what that pop-up was. So we have downloaded we have downloaded Bitwarden. I'm now ready to use it. So here in my dock on a Mac, it'll be on your start window in Windows. I open it up. Now, I have used this before, so let's play make-believe for a second. When you first launch your password manager, Bitwarden, it's going to ask you for your username and your password. Your username is your email address. So I just type that in, and then it wants your master password. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. I'm now using the client, the application on my computer, and if I look for that email address, there they are. So I actually skipped a step. Let me go back. You can't log into your password manager until you've actually created an account, right? Otherwise, how does it know who you are? So the next thing on your home, and we're going to do a little adjustment to our notes here. We're going to make number 2, create a new account on Bitwarden. So that's step number 2. Then step number 3, I guess you could really do step number 2 and 3 interchangeably, but step 2 and 3 go together. So you have to create a new Bitwarden account. How do you do that? You go to bitwarden.com and you'll see a big old button that says create your free account. So we click the button, right? And then it asks you, what email address do you want to use? Now, you need to use a valid email address because it's going to send you a link. And if you make something up, it's not going to work. You also want to make sure you type it correctly. So maybe I set one up for Columbus Computer Society at gmail.com. Then it says, what's your name? Okay, I know that. What's your master password? Well, we actually had, oops, that's the wrong one. Where's the other one? Hold on. Here's the one I like, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to paste it in, and it says it's really strong. Now, I can show you what the password is. I'm not actually going to use this, so try as you might, it won't be set up. There's my password. It looks good. I looked at it. We're good to go. Now, I want to point out something. Those passwords that we talked about earlier, here's password, right? So it says it's very weak. Okay, I'm smart, so I'm going to do PASSW0RD, still weak, right? Maybe do a year, maybe do a hyphen. It's getting better, right? And then I'm going to do monkey123 because that is so common. It thinks it's a strong password simply based on the length. Oh, I guess it's money123, monkey123. So it's a strong password according to this. It doesn't mean it's a good password, folks. It really just means that it's long enough. Now, if you pick a good random password that's shorter, it might actually like it. Let's try that. So here's my old password, right? I'm going to start deleting characters. We're down to 11, 10. 10 is still good. 9, 8, weak. So this is randomly generated, but it's 8 characters. And as we learned earlier, 7 characters takes less than a minute. And I think it was 5 hours for 8. So not good, even though it's randomly generated. So don't let this fool you. Don't just assume your monkey123 or password is good. Retype your password. Type a hint if you need it. No, I'm not going to do it. Probably a good idea to do it. And then I'm not going to do this, but you would click the submit button. Once you click submit, you should be able to go to your email account, verify the account, and sign in. So I've already done that. I have created my Bitwarden account. I've been using it forever, which brings us back to logging in. So here we are. I'm in Bitwarden. There's lots of things I have in Bitwarden. There's all items, which includes login information such as gmail.com or outlook.com or anything like that. I have credit cards in here. I'm not going to show you that. I really don't want to see random purchases on my credit cards. So we're going to avoid this today, if that's all right with you. Identity, also not going to show you that. I have my passport information in there. I have social security numbers for my family members. Here's a good reason that you want to pick a good, secure, randomly generated with Entropy password. You really, really want to have a good password because now I am exposing this information about my family members. That's why my password's so good. Sorry, I got a little pop-up here. I'll get rid of that. Okay, and then we have notes. Now, I'm not quite sure what's in secure notes, so nothing. Good. Oh, because it's Columbus Computer Society. So I have a search on here. Let me go ahead and turn it off. Okay, this is fine. So in notes, I have, for whatever reason, I like to keep track of vehicles that I've had. So here's a few vehicles. I can show you this. Here's a 1994 Camry that I have or had. I doubt it's even, well, it probably could be running. It's a Toyota, but there's the VIN number for it. So I keep things like that. I can't show you this because it's on a recording, but this is my, my license key for 1Password. I bought it for Windows and I bought the family pack. This right here lets me use it, the old versions of it. I have all sorts of things in here actually that I didn't even realize, but these are things that I need to remember. Here's a Wi-Fi, where'd it go? Here's a Wi-Fi password. Now it is hidden, so you don't see it. If I'm not going to do, if I click this, you'd see it. This is the network name. This is when I visit China. This is the login for the router. So these are just random notes, things that I don't really use. Logins is the meat and potatoes. This is where I have all sorts of things in websites. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. But I also wanted to show you that once you start adding passwords in your password manager, it can get a little overwhelming. And I found a way to manage that stress and that confusion by adding folders. So these are all different folders that I have. Here's a folder for APCUG, as a matter of fact. So I have 2 accounts in here. Anything related to APCUG, I go here, and there it is. Here's something related to automobile. There's all those notes. This is Columbus Computer Society. So if I really want to find it, and I want to find it quick, I go to these folders. Now, folders are not magic. They just don't show up. It doesn't know what you want. You have to actually create it. So right here with the plus button is where you would create a folder. So maybe we'd say Bitwarden. Oops, you got to spell it right. Bitwarden workshop, right? Whatever is meaningful to you is what you create as a folder. So I'm going to save that. Shows up right here. We're going to use that as an example today. This is just a way for me to come in and delete the junk that we're going to create. I'm actually not going to create real accounts, but I'm going to keep it all under Bitwarden Workshop. So here we are. We're in our password manager. I guess I'll stay there. And we need to create a new account online. What's a person to do? Well, there's many options. I will tell you what I like to do. I like the password manager app on a computer. It's more functional for me. There's more versatility. I'm more familiar with it. So I'm going to do that from here. And the way I do it is this big plus sign right here. So I click plus, and then I just type what it is. Let's say I was creating a new Apple ID. I'll show you a few tips for that. So I'm going to need a username, and we're going to make up a fake one. Let's say we generate a random email account that we use, but you need to use an actual email account. So just don't make this up. Password, it says, well, what do you want to be the password? I don't know. I'm going to have you generate one. See that button again? This guy right here will generate a random password. Now, this password's not quite good enough for my needs. So I'm going to go to options. Now you probably think he's crazy. I'm not going to do more than that. That's complicated. It's okay. What you have to remember here is you don't remember these passwords. With a few exceptions, you don't remember these passwords. So it doesn't matter how long it is. 128 characters? Who cares? I'm not going to type it. I don't care how long it is. The website might care, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I want 128 characters. So I change that to 128. I can use a little slider here if I prefer. What did we learn earlier? We want to use capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. So check, 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 check. Good to go. Then you can get into more details like, well, maybe I want it to have at least 2 numbers in it. Considering there's 128, I think we could probably go even higher than that. So we want at least 9 numbers, and maybe we want at least 9 special characters. And I want to avoid ambiguous characters. So zeros and O's, I want to try to avoid those so that when I have to actually look at it for some reason, and you'll notice there's nothing in here that's weird. It won't give us anything that could look like something else. So I actually do like this. Now, this might make it less secure. It's an option in there. I think we're okay. I'm going to leave it checked. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to regenerate another one. There you go. Regenerate away. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you don't like what's there, just do this. And I'm also going to copy it because I don't trust the password manager yet. Maybe I want to make sure it's there. It'll be there, but I'm just playing it safe. So generate, copy, after I changed all my settings, and then I click this right here. And lo and behold, I have 128 characters. You can count it if you want, but that's 128 characters, right? So I know the website is going to be appleid.apple.com. So I'll go ahead and type that in. You could type in if you want to make sure it's only going to HTTPS, type that in. Now the website has to support it, so make sure it works, but you don't necessarily need to do that. Now, if you don't type in HTTPS and it allows the non-S part, the S stands for security, it will just log into any old website. It doesn't enforce those SSL certificates. So I purposefully came in and typed HTTPS. This might even be one that I have a different website for. Maybe I just want it for apple.com. You can add multiple URLs. A good example of this would be Google. So when you sign up for a Gmail account, you can go to gmail.com, sign in, you're good to go. But you can also go to google.com. So your Gmail account allows you to sign into Google. It also allows you to sign into Google Docs and Google Sheets and all sorts of things. So if you want your password manager to log into all those websites, I would type in google.com. Obviously that won't work for this, but just as an example, gmail.com, right? I happen to know the URL is docs.google.com. So type as many as you want here. I know this seems a little overwhelming right now. Just remember this, you only need one. If the website happens to use multiple and you want to make it more convenient, go ahead and add them in here. So for today, we're just going to save appleid.apple.com. So we're filling out a form. That's all we're doing. We named it something meaningful. We're in logins. That's where you can change it to something else. We named it something that means something to us. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put delete in here because I don't want it. I'll even put it at the beginning so it'll show up. So name it however you can find it. Type in the username, generate a password. I don't use this, so this is authenticators. I actually use a separate authentication app, topic for a different day, so I don't use that. URL, if you want to put it in a folder, here's where you change it. Now I had to create the folder first before it would let me do this, but yes, I want it in the Bitwarden workshop. You can mark it as a favorite. All that means is it's going to show up right here. So you'll see all items, which is everything, then favorites, and then if you trash something, it's in the trash. So if you want it to show up here, don't get crazy. Don't check everything as a favorite. Use most common things like maybe your Wi-Fi password. You check that box. Notes, maybe you want to write something that helps you find it. Please delete this. I don't know, I'm misspelling. I want a new keyboard, so I obviously need to relearn how to type. Please delete this login, Bitwarden workshop. I'm going to tell you a different way I use notes here in a little bit, but for now, you can put notes in. These are searchable. You can also create custom fields. We're not going to do that just yet, but I will show you why you'd want to do this. So this is the general idea. New login, name it, username, password, URL, and that's pretty much all you need. You just save it. I did extra stuff because I could. So I'm going to save it. There it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste all this information in. So let's go back to our favorite web browser. I'm going to go to appleid.apple.com. I'm going to create a new Apple ID right here. I know this is small. Let me make it a little bigger. That was way too big. So here's create your Apple ID. It asks for a first name. You can lie here. Just remember, you got to remember the lie. So I'm Betsy Ross today. Rose. Okay. There we go. What country are you in? Probably don't want to lie about that. When were you born? Okay, I can lie about this, but I got to remember the lie. It didn't like that. Okay. We'll make it more meaningful. What is your login ID? We'll put in that email address, and then it's asking for a password. So I go back to my password manager. I use this button right here, copy. I go back to the web browser and I paste. Uh-oh. We've got a problem, folks. This is more common than you think. And it's a shame that, I know 63 characters is a lot, but you know, there shouldn't be a limit on a password. You should be able to put in whatever you want. The most secure password is the longest password with entropy and randomness, right? So Apple's telling me, nope, 63 characters, that's it. Okay, fine. I'm going to select everything and delete it. No big deal. I haven't made any changes yet, but let's talk about the notes field while we're here. If you have an existing account and you need to change the password, this is what I do. I copy what's there, password copied. Then I edit. And the first thing I do is go to the notes section. I put the date and I'd say what it is. This is my old password. Why, oh, why am I doing this? Because I was caught off guard too many times. This is a Kenneth tip of the week. You do this because sometimes if you get locked out of your account, Google, not looking at you, but Google will say, okay, you don't know your password. What was the last password that you used? The hell, I don't know. I changed it. There was a reason why I changed it because I couldn't remember it. Well, if you save it in your notes field, dating it, you'll remember. And then it might say, well, you don't remember that one. What was the one before it? So maybe I have a different date. Oops, I really can't type today. So here's my old password. So I use the notes field for things like the old password just in case. So I pasted it in notes. Now I'm going to regenerate a new password. So I haven't lost anything yet, right? It's there. I'm going to go to this button, regenerate. Are you sure? It's warning you. If you do this, I'm not going to remember the old one. Yes, I want to do this. And I know that I'm only allowed to do 63. The horror, right? Only 63 characters. Some of you are rolling your eyes like he's crazy. I'm not crazy. I promise. I don't have to remember it, so I don't care. So Apple limits to 63. I'm going to go ahead and copy it just in case. And I'm going to click the yes, the check mark. And then you have to do this. You have to save it. If you don't save it, you're going to be in trouble. So I'm saving it. I have my new password, which is this. I have my old password, which is that craziness, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the password, go back to Apple, and see if it likes this one. Look at that. We're good to go. Now, not all websites are created equal. Not all of them are nice enough to tell you, hey, you can only do 63 characters. I'm looking at you, banking websites. You guys suck. Every banking website I've ever been on will say your password can't be longer than this, and it's usually a really low number. It can't be longer than 12 characters, too many characters. Sometimes it won't tell you. So what I do, I don't think I've ever created a 128 character password. What I do is I come in here and I generate passwords that I can verify. And this is how I verify it. So again, I'm changing my password. Best practice is go ahead and paste that old password in. I'm going to regenerate a new one. Yes, I'm fine. And I'm going to change this to a more manageable 32. For the sake of time, let's do it even shorter. We'll do 12 for this one. Okay, 14, whatever. So I need to lower my numbers because that's a really, really low. There we go. So that's better. So regenerate a new password. I'm going to copy it. I don't know why I copy it all the time. I just don't trust it. I'm going to save it and I'm going to save it. So here's why I do that. I don't just paste and go. If you paste and go and you don't have a good website like this one that tells you, yeah, that's too long. What happens is it'll just delete the rest of it. So if that was 64 characters, clearly that's not 64 characters, right? So I paste the password and I know it's 14. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're good to go. I know it was 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can delete 14 characters. We're good to go. Again, I paste. Now I'm using the keyboard shortcuts. Some password fields will allow you to paste. Some will not. That's why these keyboard commands, there's 3 things you have to remember. Your master password, of course, and 2 keyboard commands. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. They're right here. Control C or Command C on a Mac. Control V as in Victor or Command V as in Victor. So sometimes right-clicking works. In this case, it does. Most of the time, it doesn't. So now it's asking for a password. So I'm going to give it a random not a password, a phone number. So I'm going to give it a real phone number. Clearly, that's real, right? And then it's going to ask me to verify it. I do not want their signups, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'll put in the characters and then continue. I'm not going to create this fake account, but that's how you do it. You start from the top. You fill it out with at least information you can remember. Obviously, this is not right. You let your password manager generate a password for you. You finish, you submit, and you're good to go. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to show you one other way you can do it. We're going to see if the demo gods are with me today. You can do this inside of your web browser most of the time. So up here, we downloaded the Bitwarden extension. So right here, I click it. I haven't signed into it yet. So it says, hey, log in. Sure, no problem. So I need to actually do a valid login, valid master password. I don't think I typed it correctly. Log in. And here I am. So I'm on the website where I need to create the password. Because I'm on the website, it will show logins related to that website, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to sign up. So right here in the top right corner is add item. And it didn't work right. Okay, of course it didn't. So normally when you click add item, it will autofill the URL. Now I can see it right there, so I can obviously type it, but some websites behave better than others. So I'm gonna go ahead and help it out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and save it to my notes or the folder. And then it's gonna ask for my information. Apple ID 2 at whatever, and then I'm going to have it generate a password. Fine. Maybe I'll make it 32, which is a better, much better password. Yes, I want special symbols. Yes, we check all the things. That's what we do, folks. We check all the things. I'm going to go ahead and select it, and we're ready to go. Really, we had to fill in some information, save it, and then when we go to sign in, I guess you would create the account on the website, but when we go to sign in and I click this, you'll see I have Apple IDs. So I'm gonna look at the delete one we created earlier. There it is. I click this, and I haven't actually signed in before, so it's forcing me to copy it. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. I actually need to copy a valid one. This part isn't gonna work unless I do it correctly. So let me do, this is a valid Apple ID. Sure. Okay, so copy, paste, asking for the password. Still doesn't want to autofill, doesn't quite trust me yet. Paste, and there we go. Now it's going to prompt me on my computer. Hey, do you want to log in from that computer? Here's your code. Sure, it's kind of stupid because I'm on the same device that it's prompting me that you can see. I don't know why Apple does it that way, but here I am logged into my account. So you can create it from here. You can create it from here. You can also create it, why is it flickering? That is so weird. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. You can also create it from bitwarden.com. So I have to log in. No big deal, we've done it before. And right here, I have add item. So I click add item. What is it? It's a login. What's your name? Sure. What's folder is it in? Yes, I need to delete it, so I'm going to save it in that folder. What's the username? I'm just going to put my first initial last name. Generate a password. See the theme here? The buttons look the same. There it is. I can look at it if I want to. I can change it if I want to. I put in the URL. We'll do google.com. I want to be secure, so I'm going to make sure it only accepts it for HTTPS. Need nothing else. I click save, and there we go. I didn't name it, did I? I don't know what I named it, folks. Hold on. Oh, I named it myself. So no big deal. Let's go ahead and fix that. Let me click it. I was thinking, what is your name? It was asking, what do you want to name it? Well, we're going to name this delete fake Google account. That should be more meaningful than just my name. I felt like I was filling out a form for some reason. So delete fake Google account. Let me put delete in front of this as well. Delete fake Apple account. Okay. So web browser, application, or logging into your vault within the web browser. And when I say within the web browser, that's this. And when I say web browser, that's this right here. That's all there is to it. You just have to practice, practice, practice. You have to give away some of your trust and allow this to actually do what it's supposed to do, and all will be well. I promise you, remembering passwords that are randomly generated is not difficult. I have never been locked out of my account. Well, that's not true. I was locked out of my account one time at work because LastPass, I'm not trying to bash on them, but it's a funny story. LastPass, I said, hey, generate some random text. And it said, sure. And then it didn't remember it. So I got locked out. So it's fine. You have to have some trust in it. But once you do, you're good to go. So that's creating a generic login. I want to show you one more thing. And I'm going to do this in the app because that's what I like best. I really prefer the app. And I'm also going to show you one other thing about Bitwarden. This is one of the things that I don't like. LastPass and 1Password do a really good job of synchronizing immediately. Bitwarden is a little different. It doesn't quite know when you make a change if you're already in it. If I were to quit Bitwarden and launch again, everything would sync. It always syncs when you log in. But since I haven't logged out, and you can clearly see I have 3 accounts here, but only 1 here, it just means that it hasn't synced. So this is the one little trick I have to remember about Bitwarden. Right here on a Mac, you go to File, and I go to Sync. Once I hit Sync, you'll see 3 accounts show up here in a second. There you go. So I have run into this where I've created a password on my computer and then I went to the iPad and it wasn't there. It's because I had the app already open. You can either close the app completely or sync the app. It's that easy. So what I wanted to show you was something a little extra. This is a bit of a bonus here. So if your head starts spinning, I get it. I understand. I know it's a lot. I'm going to go back to this Apple ID. Now, if I were to actually fill in this Apple ID, it would ask me, what's your mother's maiden name? What's your dream job? What's your favorite color? All very easy things to guess. This is where this custom field comes into play. So here I can add things myself. And in this case, I'm going to add security questions. I'm going to add 3 security questions. So it's asking me, do I want it to be hidden? Text, I don't actually use this, but text or hidden, which one of these do you want? So you select the one you want. In this case, I want the text to be visible. So I select text, I click new custom field and I type security question number 1. And then I'm going to randomly generate a password, but this time I'm going to generate a passphrase. So it's asking for my mother's maiden name. I'm not going to give that to you. What I want to do is generate a new password. I'm not replacing what's here, okay? So I'm not clicking this button. I want to generate a new passphrase that I put in here. So I go up to edit. I'm sorry, not edit, somewhere. View, there we go. I go up to view. We'll edit that out, right? I go up to view and I go to password generator. It is separate from this. It's not going to overwrite my password. I could use a password if I wanted to, but I want to show you this. I want to change password to passphrase. And look at that. So these are 3 random words. It happens to have a hyphen between it. I can take that out. So maybe I don't want a hyphen. I could maybe make it 5 words. So there's 5 words. Maybe I want to capitalize. Maybe I want to include numbers. So some of these things are also available. I don't need all this. What I need is a fake mother's maiden name. So I'm going to do 3 words. Here we are. I'm going to copy those 3 words. I'm going to close, and I'm going to keyboard shortcut. What is it? I can't hear you say it, but I'm imagining everybody saying, oh, it's Control V as in Victor, Kenneth, because we remembered everything you said. So Control or Command V, there it is. That's my security. Oh, that would be the question is, what is your mother's maiden name? And then we do a new hidden field, and the security answer is that, which is that. So you do that 3 times, or however many security questions you have. You make the password manager remember it, you save it, and then when it says, hey, what's your mother's maiden name? You could do this, you could type it, or you could be like the cool kids and just click copy value, go to wherever it is, paste the value in, and you're done. So that is how I use custom fields. There's so much more we can do in Bitwarden, and I know some of you are a little overwhelmed. So what I want to do is end this with some resources, and then we'll take your questions. So we did the demo. Don't rush to write all this down. I know, well, you can take a picture of the screen if you want, I don't mind. This will be provided to you. It is already on APCUG's website, but these are a lot of things that I referenced today. Bitwarden's website specifically. There's a help center for Bitwarden, bitwarden.com/help. If you're coming from LastPass, there is the article, which is the most popular password manager right now, so that's why it's there. If you don't trust Bitwarden, or you're a business and you want to host your password vault, you can. One of the things I like about Bitwarden is it's not locked down. It says, we get it, you don't trust us, that's okay. So go ahead and host it yourself. Now you better have a backup, because remember, you're trusting yourself. So if your building disappears, it burns down, or something happens to your server where it's saved, they can't get into it. This stuff is encrypted. And here's how well it's encrypted. Most people probably wouldn't admit this, but Bitwarden said, yep, we were hacked. It happened. But the hackers got nothing. They got hashed, I forget what the terminology was, but basically what they got was a bunch of gobbledygook. They could do nothing with it. Same thing happened to LastPass. Bottom line is, anybody on the web, if you have a login portal of some sort, you're a target. It's probably going to get hacked at some point. Some of the biggest names out there have been hacked. Some of them didn't do it as well as Bitwarden or LastPass. They exposed our private information. But if you really don't trust the Bitwarden password manager, I get it. You can do self-hosting. Bitwarden is open source. That's why I love it. Open source is software that we can look at the code. We can trust them, but then we can also go in and verify what they've done. So that's why they say, sure, go ahead and host it yourself if you want to. Here's our code. Take a look at it. Just recently, Bitwarden did an audit. They pay for these audits to happen, and they say, here's a code, break it. Tell us what to fix. And they did well. They really haven't had any issues. So it's out there for anybody to look at. So at any point, somebody could find an issue and break it, but they're passing their security audits, and it's not them auditing it. They're actually hiring a company to come in and audit what they do. If you're going to use Bitwarden in an organization, here's a link that might be valuable. That estimated password cracking time link is right there. And then that is the link to Consumer Reports. If you want to read the article for yourself, I can't show you. I can't log in and actually show you the article because it's on a recording. But what I can show you is a way to access Consumer Reports potentially for free. So before I do that, let me show you your homework. It's not a big list, I promise. It looks worse than it really is. So homework, we need to create a master password. How do we do that? We go to lastpass.com/password-generator. So this is something you might want to write down because this is something I really want you to do before Thursday. We are going to do hands-on workshops with Bitwarden. I'm going to have some of you volunteer. You know, there's plenty of us on here, but somebody needs to just volunteer and say, yep, I'll do it. Let's get in there and let's play. Now we'll avoid things where it actually exposes private information. So I don't really want to do anything real if you're sharing your screen, but I want you guys to see how easy it is. And I want you to feel comfortable doing it because I'm not with you all the time. I have a job. I do sleep occasionally. Not much, but I do sleep. So I can't be there for you. I want you to get hands-on practice. So create your master password. That's one thing. You will need to sign up for an account. So that is another thing you'll do because where do you put your master password? Well, you got to have an account for it. So create your master password, look at the list. You got 2 days to do it, and then create your account. The next thing you're going to do is one or all of these 4 items. So these are all things that you may or may not have. If you have a computer, I'd suggest going to bitwarden.com/download and installing it on your computer. If you, well, we all have web browsers, so I guess technically, if you have a computer, you will be doing these 2, but on a computer, you can download the browser extensions. It's the same website, bitwarden.com/download. You scroll down a little bit, and you'll see, what does it say? Web browser or browser extension. We'll look at it here in a second. Pick the one, pick the browser you're using. You probably know what it is. Or you can do it on your iPad or your iPhone or your Android tablet or your Android smartphone. And when I say Android, I mean those that are, not all of them, but basically if you don't have an Apple device, it's probably Android. It's like 99% sure it's Android. So Samsung, LG, all of those other brands would be Android. So download it. You got to download the app to play with it. Create your master password, create your account, then download it wherever you want to play. Anybody that's planning on sharing their screen on Thursday, I would say download it to your computer. It's so much easier to share your computer screen than your iPad screen or other things. So anybody that's going to volunteer, please just do it on your computer for me. And then these are kind of optional. Well, the last 2 are not, but this is optional. If you have a password manager that you're already using, I want you to go ahead and export the data from that password manager and import it into Bitwarden. I want you to see what they look like inside Bitwarden. I did this myself, and it worked pretty well. John actually said he did it last time from LastPass, I believe it was, and he said it went well. I did it from 1Password. The worst thing that happened is I had duplicates, and it was, oh, here's your Apple ID ×5, and one of them actually has the username and password. The rest of them have random email or random web addresses. That's because it couldn't parse the data correctly for the web URLs. It just looked for username, password, one URL, and the rest of it, it said, I'm not going to delete it. I know it's probably important, so it just made duplicate entries. I just deleted the things I didn't need. It was no big deal. So if you're using a password manager, go ahead and try this. Most of you probably aren't right now, and that's fine. But the other thing to keep in mind is we need to select a few websites to create new passwords and also to change some insecure passwords. So this is your homework assignment. Since this is time sensitive, go ahead and take a picture of my screen. I'll leave it up here for a minute. These are some of the things I really want you to do before Thursday. Thursday won't be as effective if you don't practice. If you don't do some of these things, you're going to have a tougher time. And it will get easier with time, I promise. So I'll give you another couple of, I'll talk through what I was talking about with consumer reports, and I'll leave this up and then I'll show you. So consumer reports, if you really want to read that article and you don't have a subscription, I'm going to teach you a little secret here. Check your public, I'm sorry, I almost said website. Your public library might have a subscription to consumer reports. And all you need to log in is your library card, typically your library card number, and your library card PIN. And when you do that, you have access to almost all the features in consumer reports. There's actually other websites they give you. The Columbus Metropolitan Library, which is the metro area I'm in, allows me to log into lynda.com. Here's another thing you could put on as homework if you want to. Lynda, so not L-I, but Lynda.com. Lynda.com is an online resource for learning. There is, bonus points for anybody who finds it, there's actually a whole series on password managers. They specifically talk about LastPass. So if you really want to learn a lot really quick, you can actually do those over as much time as you need. Go to lynda.com and log in, and your public library may actually give you free access to it. So I think that was enough time for you guys to take a screenshot or notes, whatever you need. Let me go ahead and get out of this and show you what I'm talking about. So I would go to columbuslibrary.com. Okay, that's interesting. Obviously, Edge isn't as secure as we thought. That was weird. columbuslibrary.com. Okay. Not sure why it's doing that. So this sucks. I really want to show this. Columbus Metropolitan. Yes, we'll try that. Oh, it's .org. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry. columbuslibrary.org. No wonder why it was wrong. So find the correct website for your public library. And then here I go to research. Let me blow this up a little bit. And then research tools A to Z. And I'm going to show you consumer reports right there. I visit. I can't do this now at this point. I can't go any farther. It's going to actually expose my library card number. But if I click visit, it would ask me for my library card number and the PIN. The other one I told you about was lynda.com. So here it is. Lynda.com was bought by LinkedIn, which was bought by Microsoft. So technically it's owned by Microsoft, but this is an incredible resource of so many things you can learn, not just password managers. I'm telling you, you guys need to go here and just explore. There's all sorts of things your public library may offer. This is bonus material for you. So go there, do a little more learning, okay? One more trick, and I promise I'll zip it. It'll take me less than 40 seconds. If you want to do a search and you want to find something specific to a website, so let's say I want to find a help article on bitwarden.com. Do you guys know this trick? So you do site : and then the site name, and then you type what you want to find. So if you're using 1Password, I just typed import passwords from 1Password. I go there, and then let me zoom out a little bit. Import your data from 1Password. You notice it's at bitwarden.com. This one's bitwarden.com, bitwarden.com. Why? Because I specifically said bitwarden.com. So that works for anything. Let's say we want to go to apple.com and we want to check Apple Care coverage. So I do that, and it takes me to apple.com, apple.com, apple.com. You're basically telling your web browser to only go there. Pretty cool, right? Now I can see you. Hello, beautiful people. How's everybody doing now?
Well, all of our brains are a little bit fried. Before we open it up to lots of questions, I know there's a couple important ones that need to be asked based on homework. One person wants to know, can you import from a spreadsheet?
That's a great question. I haven't tried it, but it would be a lot easier to import from a spreadsheet than from somewhere else. You want to save that spreadsheet as a CSV file. So Excel, for example, saves it as XLS or XLSX. I can't remember the new extension. It needs to be in a common file format. So CSV is something that almost every computer can read. Do the search, Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever. Put in site bitwarden.com and then type import from spreadsheet or something like that. And it should be very easy to do that.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to make you do it because this is your workshop. Can you import from the Firefox vault?
I don't see why you couldn't, and I don't know the answer to that for sure, but I'm going to do my little trick here. And I'm going to search import from Firefox Vault. Let me share my screen again so you guys can see me doing it here. Import from Firefox Vault. Import your data from Firefox. So here's the first link. Yes, that's an export from Firefox. So you export it and then you import it. So the answer is yes. You want me to put this in chat?
Not necessarily.
Okay. And then the other one was spreadsheets. We may as well import from spreadsheets. So maybe spreadsheet. Import your data from another app. Here's Google Chrome for those using Google Chrome. Let's see what this says. Oh, look at this. Any questions about importing are on this web page right here. And it probably says Excel or an app. Let's do a search spreadsheet. Anyway, it should be here. Okay, you can open the exported file in a text editor. So yes, basically you export it into, I was right, generic, excuse me, I said general, generic CSV format. I do have Excel, so let me show you what that looks like. If you open up Excel, this works in numbers. Actually, I don't know if I've logged into it yet, so hopefully it lets me in. It works in numbers, it works in Excel, it works in Google Sheets, it works in all spreadsheets that I've used. So you go into the spreadsheet, and we'll play make-believe here. So here's my spreadsheet of passwords, and we'll do either a save as or an export. So it looks like it doesn't want to do export. We'll do save as, and right here, CSV. You see that? CSV. That's what we're looking for. Name it whatever. Save it wherever you can find it. And that's what Bitwarden will use. Ignore that. It's always Excel saying, no, you need to use our format because it's far superior to everything else. Okay, whatever.
All right, you've scared some people because your first homework assignment and the session we did on master password, you're younger than most of us, and it's hard for us to remember crazy character letters that don't make a lot of sense. What can we do to make it secure but still something that I can remember and don't have to tape up here on the wall?
I paid John to ask that question. It's actually something I said in the last workshop. No, actually, I think I said it with the East Central Ohio group. You have to remember this. Whatever you use, someone can crack into that. So you have my blessing. I don't know if that's the right word. You have the okay from me for now to use something that you can remember, but you'll want to change it at some point to something more secure. You need to make it very creative, But remember, randomly generated is the best way to go. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about maybe an interest. Let's say you like to, and again, this is not a best practice. Let's say you like to do horseback riding. I don't actually know if that's one word or two. We're going to go with one. So maybe we do something like this temporarily. That looks like horseback, kind of, right? Maybe we do something like this. You have to remember, this is your password vault. This is your login currency. This isn't a good password. I'm not saying that this is what you should do. But if you are scared that you're going to forget it, this is an option. Option number 2, I mentioned this earlier. This would be better, is to generate those random passwords like this and give it to a trusted third party. That could be someone else with a password manager. That could be as easy as print it to your printer, put it somewhere safe. It could also be write it down on a Post-it. It's not the best thing to do, but I would prefer you generating a password like this and then having it somewhere printed or written down versus doing what we did earlier. Oh, I guess I can't go back to what I had. No, won't let me. That one right there. I would prefer you generated a secure one and had somebody else remember it than doing this. But this is, if this gets you by, if this gets you jump started, okay, please change it as quickly as possible. I know I'm harping on that, but you
So
want to be
that's the question. You can change your master password as you get better.
yes.
And we can also talk, Thursday, that you could use the letters of a. For me, being a first grade teacher, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dogs. I could do all those letters as a password, and the letters wouldn't make any kind of sense, but each of them make sense to me up here. Oh my goodness, where do we start? Where we start?
Is there a lot of questions? Should I be looking at chat?
Hey, can I have a turn, please?
Yes,
of course.
Judy.
Thank you. I will be sending out the PowerPoint presentation as a PDF to everybody who attended. I see some people who still have gobbledygook instead of their real name. They're not going to get it. I also took copious notes. I will send out all of my notes, and I started out with this homework. I will send out the steps of his last slide with all of the information in it and all that good kind of stuff. I'm a note taker, I'm a tech teacher, and I've got handouts for you. And
That's
if
good.
John's has time tonight, he can upload the video or tomorrow to APCUG shared drive. I will slap a front slide on and a back slide and send the link out to an unlisted video for you guys. And
That's good.
again, it's for the people who took the time to attend the workshop, not anybody else.
One major question to address tonight with Bitwarden: how can this password manager be safe? You have all of that private information, your passbook or your passport, all that stuff in there. How can password or Bitwarden and any of these be safe? Assure me. Muted.
Yeah, I thought I was muted. I'm sending the email to Judy. So you have the slides. So hang on. Off it goes. Hopefully it's not too big. It's 9.2 megabytes. So how can you be assured?
25.
Okay, good. I can't find you guys now. I'm looking at blank screens. Okay, how can you be sure? There is a level of trust here. So earlier I mentioned they were audited. That actually happened very recently. Third party came in and audited them and said it's good. They do this regularly. So you can look at the code yourself. If you know how to read the code, more power to you. I'm not a coder. You can look at the code yourself. You can find vulnerabilities. You can actually go in and fix the vulnerabilities. You could use the code on your own, create your own password manager if you wanted to. If none of that works as a good answer for you, you can self-host. That means the password vault never leaves your house. You can keep it completely off the internet if you so desire.
I think you also said that it's encrypted enough that if they get your information, they're maybe really not going to get anything, gobbledygook. If you forget your master password, can you call Bitwarden and get it from them?
Nope.
So that's another reason to be able to show that it's very secure, because you can't even get into it to your own account if you don't have it.
There was a question. I unmuted you. I forget who it was. You moved.
Elaine?
There we go. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. Sorry I'm dark. I just realized I don't have my top light on. I got a question.
Oh, sorry. I messed up. I wasn't supposed to unmute anybody.
Oh, should I not?
Judy,
talk?
you call.
Elaine, to
Yeah?
ask your question now.
Okay. Kenneth, you might remember, probably not. I use KeyPass and I have it in Dropbox, and I have made changes on my computer on Dropbox. I made changes, but it doesn't come to my phone. So now I just realized while watching tonight, it's the whole Dropbox that isn't syncing with my phone. How do I do that?
Don't know. Good question. I don't recommend synchronizing with Dropbox, though. Dropbox is not really that secure unless it's encrypted before it hits Dropbox.
Well, KeyPass is in Dropbox, and if I want my passwords with me wherever in the world I am, I have to do it like that.
So you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
I'll say I need to put her in touch with Ken, because he is a master with KeyPass, and I think it's the idea that you have to keep uploading it yourself to keep it synced. But that's who would be the better one to address that issue, because that's his.
It used to always happen, I just save it like I do, and then I'd go look on my phone and it was there too. But now the whole Dropbox isn't syncing. KeyPass is secure in Dropbox, but it's not changing because the Dropbox isn't.
Thank you. And my suggestion would be to use something other than Dropbox, because as Kenneth showed us, you can access your vault from any place in the world if you have the extension on your browser of choice. Jay, I know who you are. I recognize your email address. The other thing is Bob G recommends that everybody have 2 password managers. When LastPass went down, he couldn't access anything. Well, of course, he uses Avast's password manager, so that, which of course he uses that all the time, but he had an alternate, a comma, just in case thing. And that's where you whatever password manager is going to be your main person, create everything and then put it into a free password manager just for grins and just in case.
Yeah.
Now, I will say Bitwarden synchronizes offline. So if Bitwarden were to go down, I know LastPass is different. I would still have access to everything because a copy is here on my computer.
Right.
Yes, Judy?
Hopefully there's somebody else you know by the name of Judy, because I don't use a password manager.
Oh,
So I bet you were talking about another Judy, because in January it was going to be home automation or password manager. And I went for home automation, and then came COVID, and I've been working on this Zoom stuff in APCUG since the 2nd week in March. And I will get my act together yet.
I thought it was you, honestly.
No, I
but we've
know,
had so many
because
conversations. Whoops.
I know it, but it's hard to see this, but this is my little black book.
Yeah, we use a password manager. A black book is a form. Now, the question is, do you generate random passwords and then write those
Oh,
down in the black book.
I don't use the same one, but I'm here to tell you they're all crappy.
I'll throw in a question for Bill. That if I don't have any like Judy, you know, where do you start? Well, I'll have to tell her that, and Bill, that that's easier than my situation. When you start from scratch, you just create passwords that are secure. All of the passwords that I have that I've imported from LastPass into Bitwarden were ones I created a long time ago that were, I thought, good passwords and maybe not real easy to hack. But now I have to go through the process of going back to every website and regenerate, which can be done, but it'll take some time. So starting from scratch is really easy.
So I have a tip for you for Thursday. And this is so important that I'm going to spotlight my own video. You ready? So tools for Thursday. Make sure you're calm. And bring your favorite drink.
Yeah, Diet Coke.
This is pomegranate juice, but it looks like red wine, doesn't it?
Red.
Very good.
This is a margarita.
Oh, yes.
I'm trying to think, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Kenneth the chat that I have so that he sees questions that he kind of knows that we can answer on Thursday. I'm trying to look through my list to see if there's any major general, any question that's more specific about what we do on Thursday. I'm trying to skip over because we'll do it then. Here's one that if I use two-factor authentication, can I then just use simple passwords?
Great question. You can, but okay, this is complicated. Two-factor authentication technically makes it more secure. However, two-factor authentication via text is not secure. Have you read the articles about famous people who had their phone numbers ported to another phone? It was so stupid. Someone called and said, I'm whoever. I'm Mariah Carey. Here's my number. Here's my last four of my social. Here's this, here's that. And they said, okay, here you go, Mariah. We're going to send you a brand new SIM card. They send them a SIM card. They pop it in a fake phone. They reset their passwords. And guess what? Two-factor authentication through SMS goes to them and them only. And now you've broken. So two-factor authentication is a good thing if it's done correctly. Texting is not doing it correctly. There are apps for that. I like Authy, by the way. Yeah. AUTHY. I use that app because it synchronizes across devices. So I have it on my, let's see, smartphone. I have it on a tablet. I actually haven't tried it on a computer, but I really like Authy.
Kenneth, thank you very much. I've got to sign off.
Okay.
See you later, David.
I have another question.
Okay, I'll let you, then I can do. I'll trade.
I'm oldest. I get to go. Have you gotten in touch with Bitwarden about the digital asset stuff that we talked about? On the one thing that the other password managers have is you can designate somebody to go in and shut everything down. And yes. I find that extremely important with 1,000-year-old people.
Yes, they're working on it.
Oh, too cool. Thank you.
That's what they've said for years, apparently. But
oh, I know. They said that last June.
Yeah, they're working on it.
But you were going to get in touch.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get any farther than you did.
Yeah. One of the things that you brought out about using security answers and generating those, I know you can go to websites and change your password if you can find it through the account with all that mess. But what about on some of those security questions? Do they allow you to get back in to change those?
Typically you can, but I had to actually do this. You have to know the old answers. So I did this on an Apple ID for work. I had to go in and it said, change your security question. I've seen sites that don't let you, which I don't understand, but that is far less common.
Yeah. Okay. Because there are some people who learned today about good passwords and see that they should be able to change those. You know, I've gotten to the point where I use the, you know, something dumb like any kind of question, the security answer is always going to be Linux. You know, I'm not going to give them, what's your favorite dog? Linux. What's your favorite vacation spot? Linux.
Everybody write that down. His
Yeah.
answers are Linux.
Right. A lot of number of questions we can get into on Thursday when we actually do this. We're hoping that you all come back and do this, because nothing as a teacher works better than see me, see, do, and all, and get your hands and fingers going and try these out. Especially if you don't have a password manager running. Start with something. Start with just a few websites that have important places. Just, you know, do something, and it'll be really fun, because we've got a way that you'll be sent another instructions where we're going to show you how, instead of watching your Zoom on the whole left to right screen, we're going to reduce Kenneth's screen, and then you'll have access to the other half of your screen, so you can bring up the Bitwarden application and be doing some of the same things right alongside what Ken's demonstrating. So it's not just I'm going to listen and try to take notes and then go back and watch the video again. It's I can do it.
With that being said, my recommendation for Thursday, if you can do it, is find the biggest screen you have, so you'll have more real estate from side to side, and try to find a computer. If you don't have one, that's okay. It will work better from a computer. And keep in mind, I need volunteers. So, you know, you don't have to share your video, but you will be sharing your desktop. So if you got a lot of junk on your desktop, clean it up first. But I need volunteers. This won't work unless we're interacting with each other. This is all about us together.
I have a 17-inch laptop monitor, and I have played with the split screen with John today and Bill, James, and it has worked beautifully.
Oh,
Sorry
if you're
the
thinking
big
about,
monitor.
sorry. If you're thinking about which accounts to change, I do have a recommendation. Think about the one thing that gives access to almost everything, your email account. If you have a Facebook account, you probably signed up with your email account. If you have an Apple account or a Microsoft, well, Microsoft might be different, you probably use your email account. So perhaps maybe if you have two, your least important email account, go in and reset that password and make it more secure. If you want a suggestion, that is the one place where they can get you. Once they get in the email, it's pretty much you're done, because they can reset everything via email.
Yeah. One other question. I'll do this special for Pierre. Can you set up a template in Bitwarden so that it always creates 64 character passwords, so
Great
you don't
question.
have to keep changing it?
So the answer is, you don't set up a template. It remembers what you last did, but it only remembers it in that place. So if you're always creating passwords in the app like I do, and you set it for 64, it will always do it at 64. Now, if you move to a different computer, or if you go to a tablet, it'll reset to the default. So as soon as you change it, that's what it remembers. However, don't forget this tip: paste, delete, count how many characters, because 64, there's a lot of websites that don't allow you to do 64, as we found that today at Apple is 63.
Yeah. Is there anybody that has any generic password manager, Bitwarden type questions that would be good for now and not save for when we actually are getting heavy specific into Bitwarden?
Elaine has another question.
Okay. Elaine, you can unmute yourself and then
I have
ask that.
okay, I got a question. These people that try to break into your computer and get your passwords and everything, who do they look for? I mean, they go for big companies, or do they go for some little old lady that lives on Gaviota? Oops, I told.
I'm looking for you.
Yeah.
They go for everybody. They go for any target. And the big money, that's a loaded question. The big money is going to be on businesses, but they're really trying to get anybody they can. It's a wide net. Judy?
We have a secretary of one of the groups in SoCal whose email account was hacked. And I got an email with, I think it's the LOL bot, where you get a zipped file for a Word document. And I followed it through just for grins, and it went into, there was a zip, and I clicked on the zip, and I had just read about it, and I had uploaded it to APCUG's Google and Facebook account, so I knew what it was. And I'm thinking, I'm going to see how far I can go. And there it was. So I sent him an email, and I got in touch with their president, and he said, oh, he got it too. And then I got it another time, and it went to the APC, and some of the people in front of your very eyes are in his contact list, because we've given presentations to the group. And that's why we all got it. But everybody and their brother in his group got it, because of course they're all in there. And so that's the little person thing. And I really don't want to be part of a botnet.
Yeah.
Not my goal in my computer life.
Martha, go ahead.
This may be a silly question, but
Never.
if I create the Bitwarden account on my computer and I remember what the password is, can I access it with my phone and with my iPad?
That's a great question. Yes. So I use my password manager on all three. I use it on an iPad, my smartphone, and my computer. You create the account from one place, and then you log in with that same information from every other place.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And if it's hard to see, but there's my Android, and it's asking for my password. Once I do that, I'm into my vault with all the stuff I can copy and paste.
Judy?
And I will give you my standard answer when I would ask my tech people, my tech students, and it was adult ed. And, you know, I'd ask them something and it would be, I'm not going to say anything. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
And I would tell them, adults perceive their question will be stupid, or somebody will think they're dumb. As John will attest, and Kenneth too, there are no stupid questions. They are clarifying questions. Yeah. And I would tell my students, I guarantee you, if you have guts enough to ask a question, I'm going to see other students going, they didn't have guts enough to do it, but somebody did. And with that, everybody would ask a question because they perceive they're not going to be dumb or stupid. Clarifying is what we're doing.
Expanding.
So please remember that.
The only bad answer is the one that's never asked, or bad question is the one that's not asked.
Very good.
We have less than 30 seconds till the debate, so yeah, ask very quickly because I'm leaving at 9.
Yeah, and I have to go shopping, so.
Bedtime almost. East Coast. No, rest up from the grandkids. I want to thank everybody for attending. This has been great. We will definitely be doing part 2 this Thursday at 7 o'clock. We'll also, depending on what takes place and what is needed, that was my alarm for 9 o'clock. What we get into, there is not out of the question of a part 3. If there is more things that need to be worked on, more learning to do. I told Kenneth that even though I've been using them, I'm the one that told him about it. He taught me stuff tonight that I didn't do. I just copied over my stuff and started using it. But there's a lot of things I need to start looking at. So we'll do that again on Thursday. I'd like to also remind you of our home automation workshop that's going on the second Wednesdays of each month. And I'm going to do a plug for the newest workshop that's going to start at the end of October and will be continuing. We're going to have a Linux, Demystify Linux workshop that'll cover 2 or 3, maybe 4 different sessions. So that plus the VTC in November. So lots of opportunities for activities. And if we don't have any urgent question right now, I'll leave the chat box open so you can put more questions in, and Kenneth will take a look at that before Thursday night. Judy and then Martha.
I saved mine. And if it's not too late to enter your photos in the digital photo contest or your newsletter or your website, feel free. I sent an email out to 1,000 people a couple of days ago and finally got some response, as it was with the Southwest Conference in San Diego. Everybody waits till the last minute. And that's what's happened now. They need a little nudge. And elections are in November, or in October rather. So if you're in the membership database, you will be getting information about that. And then our annual meeting will be, after it'll be all over with, we will have a little, session like this where you can talk about, in that case, anything you want to. And in January, we are going to be having officers workshop on what are all the group's plans for 2021. Are you going to be able to be together online? How can we help each other survive all of this? We've already had one of those, but 6 months later, we will have another one. I'm done.
Okay. Thanks so much. I'll leave the chat up. See, hopefully everybody Thursday evening, and we will have a lot more fun.
I did have some